Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. Bring you guys a recap video here for World Battle Entertainment Season 1, St. Louis Rampardos. I'm going to be talking about our team, kind of how we did, the Pokemon that I drafted, what my thoughts are of them. We'll also talk a little bit about the WBE as a whole, which is my draft league that I created. And I've got some other news for you guys as well. So, if you guys don't know, we just had our semifinals match against Wolfglick and the Slateport Spirits. Things did not go too well. It didn't end on the best note, but I wanted to do a recap video for you guys. And kind of talk about everything that went down. And of course, you guys can always tab out. This video is not going to be too much about the visuals. I mean, I will have stats and stuff, but if you want to put music on or whatever, just kind of, you know, browse Facebook or Twitter while you're watching this, that's totally cool. But before we get too far into it, because this is going to be kind of like me just kind of talking about the match and stuff like that, if you have any suggestions for not only my draft league videos, but the WBE as a whole, I would like to get your input on that. This is going to be kind of the recap for the whole league as well. I know there's some things that we can improve upon, and I will talk about those towards the end of the video. But, yeah, so obviously we didn't do so well in the semifinals. We lost to Wolfglick. The championship match is going to be going down this weekend. Wolfglick and the Slateport Spirits are taking on John Pokemon and the New Orleans Pelipers. So that's looking to be a pretty amazing championship battle. Both of those guys are great, so definitely some pretty cool stuff to go about there. The Rampardos are going to be starting another league pretty soon. We just finished up drafting, which is really cool. We're going to have a draft announcement stream kind of in like maybe a week or so, 2 weeks, and then the league battles are going to jump right into it with the Rampardos, so get excited for that. If you're excited for more league battles, very hyped to jump into a new league. And then, I'm not going to tell you what it is, though. It's a smaller league, but it's going to be fun nevertheless, and it'll allow me to get up 2 battles a week, which I know in the past I've said I don't want to do 2 battles in a week, but I'm excited. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think as long as I'm not doing GBA, I should be good to go, because GBA was like super stressful. Otherwise, let's see. Oh yeah, NPA is going to be starting pretty soon. We haven't done the draft there, but NPA will be starting up very, very soon as well, so kind of get, you know, get hyped for that too. We're going to be defending our championship, and I will tell you a little bit. The other league that we just drafted on, I did have first overall pick. It was randomized. I just happened to get first pick in NPA because I was the champion. I got first pick in that league as well. Again, I haven't made my pick yet, but I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to go for. So, you know, I guess you guys will see when that happens. But, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about kind of the Rampardos for WBE and kind of how the season went down. Let's talk about the draft. So I drafted a really different team, especially going from like P4G to this team. P4G was about speed. It was about Volt Turn, like Tabu Koko, Beedrill, things like that. I typically like to rely on bulkier type teams. That team was very, very different. But this team here had some pretty interesting stuff. So I went with Bulu. Heatran obviously is kind of my starting core. I really felt like the grassy terrain would help out Heatran. And Heatran would be just a really good, solid pick overall. Turns out I only ended up having Heatran one time, I think, take a ground type move where grassy terrain would have helped. So it really wasn't a big deal. Overall, Bulu finished 6-3. I only brought it to 7 games. Out of 11, and I'm only talking about the regular season here for these stats, but out of 11 games, I only brought it to 7. Now, I do want to say that that's not very good. When you think about it, like your first overall pick in a draft, you should pretty much bring that to every single game. Maybe not 11 out of 11, but 10 out of 11. Yeah, but the fact that I only brought it to 7 games, I think that was a big deal. And I don't think that that was a really good first pick overall. Tapu Bulu is one of my favorite Pokemon design-wise, and I thought it was going to be really, really good because of its just ability to hit really hard. But as always, I tend to get scared off by the 4x weaknesses, especially when things can just run like Hidden Power Poison or whatever. So that was kind of annoying. It's really good Pokemon though, but I don't necessarily think it's worth the first round pick. So at least in this case. So I was a little disappointed there with Bulu, and again, just the fact that I only brought it to 7 games, that's kind of shocking in my opinion. Heatran did pretty well this season. A few of those kills were Stealth Rock kills, so I don't think that's necessarily all that amazing. But nevertheless, going positive, you can't really complain. I brought it 9 games out of 11. I think that's pretty fair for a second round pick. I found that the hard issue I dealt with was, again, the issue with its 4x weakness. Having that huge weakness to ground types really made it hard to use in my opinion, but nevertheless, it was a cool Pokemon. I don't think I would ever draft Heatran again. I think Steel types are really, really important in draft league format, but having a Steel type with a 4x weakness just really stinks in my opinion. Crowbat was my 3rd pick overall. I really wanted Crowbat. I love Crowbat. I had a ton of success with Crowbat in the past in UCL. It didn't quite live up to those expectations. Went 4-6. I don't think I defogged like the entire season, which is kind of funny. But I do like it for its speed tiers. And overall, I enjoyed using Crowbat. I wish it was a little bit better. Obviously, it started off really great with like the Nasty Plot Crowbat. Got to use some fun sets with it, acrobatics, things like that. But it wasn't like I think I've retired Crowbat from my arsenal. I think I'm satisfied with using Crowbat now that I've had it twice. Porygon 2, I've wanted to try for a really long time because it just looks so fat on paper. And it is really fat on paper, but I don't think it's as good as people think it is. Like, I don't think Porygon 2 is all that great in Draft League. Its power output is very limited. It does have some versatility, but its speed really lets it down, and it's hard to get recovers off, and I feel like you lose a lot of momentum by healing it up. And I'm all about momentum when it comes to battles in league format. Like, it's all about momentum, and that's how I feel like you should play and aim to win, is worrying about how you can gain momentum in the match and put your opponent on the back foot as opposed to you being on the back foot. And Porygon tends more often than not to put you on the back foot by passively going for things like recover, which I'm just not a fan of in general. So now that I know that, and now that I've experienced that, I've leaned towards saying, okay, you know, I think Porygon, I'm probably not going to go that route again. Rotom Wash I've had now 3 times, I think, and it's always one of those Pokemon that you're not going to see its impact really on the stats, so you can't really judge it, but I brought it every single game because it's just a phenomenal Pokemon. Only having 1 weakness to grass types obviously is really sweet. And it provides, you know, momentum with Volt Switch. And it's just a bulky Pokemon in general. Now it gets defogged though. So I feel like even though Rotom has some move slots issues with 4 move slot syndrome, I think giving it the option to have defog now is going to be insane moving forward. Uxie, really reliable Pokemon as well. Super passive, but I can't really complain about Uxie. It just did what it wanted it to do. I brought it a few times in niche Stealth Rock setter, and that's what I expected it to do. So not much to say there. Stunfisk wasn't brought into the playoffs, but I did bring it finally. I never used Piloswine. I did make a transaction there, Piloswine for Stunfisk, because I didn't like having so many Pokemon relying on Eviolite. But Stunfisk was okay. Like I said, I never got a chance to like truly use it outside of playoffs, but it worked in that 1 game. Hitmonlee, same thing. Like, I kept wanting to bring Hitmonlee, and I think Hitmonlee is still really viable as an offensive Pokemon, like a Choice Scarf user, as like using Unburden or something like that. It just didn't work out for me in this situation. Like I said, I brought it in the playoffs. It was really good in that 1 playoff match, but other than that, I didn't really do much with it. Alolan Exeggutor, which I'm surprised to see only had 2 games played and 1 kill and 1 death. Like, I feel like I brought Alolan Exeggutor more than that. 1, 2, I guess I did only bring it twice, but I brought it in the playoffs that 1 game, and I really liked Alolan Exeggutor. It's kind of like a meme pick, dude. Like, it was pretty solid. Trick Room, Alolan Exeggutor can really mess some people up, and it's got some great coverage, so if you use it at the right time, it can be really, really effective. And here's our MVP, right? I mean, this thing led the entire league in kills. I think if I look at MVP list here, I don't know if everyone, looks like Nexus did update his stats. So if you look at the MVP here list here, Mega Absol by far led the league in kills, which is really, really awesome. In 11 games, 22 kills, 7 deaths, plus 15 differential. Some other notable stuff here, just kind of interesting stuff. Lucario from Luke doing really well, 16 kills, only 4 deaths with Lucario. Landorus, you kind of expect. Looks like Luke actually is the best duo with Mega Venusaur Lucario. Garchomp doing pretty well. Nidoking, of course. Pretty sure these stats should be relatively up to date. And some other stuff you'd expect, right? Some pretty standard stuff. Any big standouts here that I'm looking at? I don't think there's anything too crazy. It's pretty interesting to see though. Kingdra 3 games, 7 kills, which is pretty scary. It just shows the impact that thing can have. You know, got to give props to John with his Kangaskhan getting 4 games in there, 6 kills in 4 games. Pretty good stuff. Any like really big standouts that they should have done better? Things like Lopunny only getting 5 kills. All 5 of those came against me. So it didn't have any kills until that 1 match against me where it swept me. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's going on there. So Mega Absol obviously just leading the league in kills, just absolutely monstrous. Had a few games where it picked up like 4 kills each, I'm pretty sure. There's a few instances, like here's a 5-kill game, week 5, it just put in some work there. Absol also, I think there was one other game, it got 3 kills there, 4 kills there. I mean, those games, it was just like you bring it in, you just click knockoff, you click Fire Blast, you click Sucker Punch. click Swords Dance and it's over. For a Pokemon that I drafted pretty much last, I mean, I could have drafted it last, no one else was going to draft it at that point in time. For a Pokemon that was drafted that late and totally forgotten about, that thing put in work. And I'm really stoked about that. I think that shows, like, consistently I've taken Pokemon, like, Mega Evolutions that maybe aren't as good, and I've made them really good. So look for me to try to do that again in another league, you know, and try to utilize some of those lower Mega Evolutions, because I do think they have viability. And something like Absol, not to say that I'm the first person to ever make Absol look good, but we really showed how good Absol can be in Draft League, and I think just having a powerful Dark-type stab with that much speed shows why things like Weavile are so effective in the format. So that's really cool. And then last but not least, Nihilego. I don't think Nihilego's stats are really reflected properly there. There was one game where it was supposed to sweep Steve. I think that was week 2, and Heatran got those 2 kills. So Nihilego should have had 2 more kills really and been 6-3. Again, Nihilego, a really cool Pokemon, and I feel like on paper it looks amazing, and it can be amazing, but it's so hard to get around the fact that it can't do anything to Steel types. If it got Earth Power, which I don't think it does have through move tutors, if it got Earth Power, this thing would be insane, but it doesn't, as far as I know. So you're really relying on Rock and Poison Stab, which is just shut down by Steel types 100% of the time, and that makes it really difficult to utilize Nihilego effectively. Despite its good speed stat, despite its good special attack stat, and great special bulk, I didn't get to use it the way I wanted to with like Toxic Spikes and stuff like that. So it didn't really work out. But overall, I mean, we finished up the season, you know, kind of going week by week. You know, week 1, here, I actually can pull up this stuff here. Week 1, we took on Chase. We were able to win with Tababulu coming in at the end, doing some really cool things. Obviously, this was the week for Nasty Plot Crowbat here with the really cool Nasty Plot set. I think that was one of the better sets that we brought this season. So we started off really well. Week 2, we faced Pokemon trainer Steve or Magnitude, who ended up leaving the league, and this match went really well as well. We had a lot of control in this game. Nihilego ended up potentially sweeping. He ended up sacking some things off, but Nihilego definitely had the sweep there at the end, which was really cool. Otherwise, we brought like a no-item Acrobatics Crowbat, which was neat, and then a pretty standard like Absol. This was a really cool set. I brought Will-O-Wisp to kind of counter his Muck, thinking that his Muck would be a primary switch into Absol, and by burning that thing, I would really hinder its effectiveness. So that was a really cool week. Week 3, we jump in against Drew. This was one of the toughest teams that we've ever had to face. You know, my man Drew had a really, really powerful team here. I don't know why this is so spaced out here, but my man Drew had a really powerful team with Finny, Aggron, Hydreigon. We were able to make it work though. This game was tough, but Alolan Executor was able to dent the Cresselia early game, if you remember correctly. And then we ended up coming through at the end with Rotom, actually. Choice Specs Rotom killing Aggron, Nidoking, Buzzwole at the end. So we brought some pretty cool stuff here. And this is why I love Draft League format. You bring things like Choice Specs Rotom one week, and then the next week you're bringing, you know, Grassium Z, you know, Trick Room, Alolan Executor, or whatever. Week 4, we jumped into a match against Christian. This was the match that caused a lot of controversy. I was very, very salty because I lost to what I believe to be somewhat of a timer stall. It is what it is, man. You know what I mean? Christian was just trying to win. No big deal. You know, but this game was super frustrating. I didn't bring enough wall breaking power. We ended up losing at the very end again due to the timer running out. I think if we had one more turn, we would have been able to pick up a win. But nevertheless, such is life, man. We brought like an AV Bulu. I remember the Choice Scarf, Heatran. I just had such a hard time getting around his Kyurem in that game. We took on Galactic Elliot this time around. Galactic Elliot, he had the Sand Rush team with Gigalith and Excadrill, and I remember we put a lot of pressure on him with Absol. Absol just destroyed his team in this game, which I remember correctly, which was super great. I was able to get up a Swords Dance, and then knock off Sucker Punch was able to clean at the end. I'm pretty sure we got 4 kills with Absol. Yeah, Absol, 5 kills total. It killed the Volcarona as well, so that was really good. One thing that I remembered about this game that was really cool was him using Will-O-Wisp on his Cofagrigus using Will-O-Wisp on my Absol to burn it, which was really cool, but luckily we had a Heal Bell, which was phenomenal, so I was prepared for that. But he got rid of our Magic Bounce ability when we knocked off the Colberberry Cofagrigus, so really good prep on his part. I brought Sugarberry Rotom, which I thought was cool as kind of a way to deal with maybe a Mold Breaker Excadrill. I think he brought a Rocky MZ Sand Rush set though, but nevertheless pretty cool. Was he Mold Breaker? He might have been Rocky MZ Mold Breaker, but I'm not sure. But that was kind of one of the things that I brought there. We took on Wolf Glick for the first time. I hate rematches sometimes because they can be really annoying, but we faced Wolf Glick. It came down to the end. He actually disconnected, but we were able to pick up a W between like top I think it was it Bulu? No, Porygon 2 actually finished it up. I had to get rid of the Sliggoo at the very end there. He brought that Choice Scarf Landorus that was so hard for me to deal with Sludge Bomb, and I brought a Choice Scarf Rotom, which was very difficult to deal with because I had to like get the trick predictions right, and I didn't. But that was whatever. Then we faced John, the New Orleans Pelipper's, who is also in the championship, and which is actually kind of funny. So it turns out that Wolf and John, the two guys in the championship, we beat this season. We beat them in the regular season, but that doesn't matter, right? Because the playoffs are what really matters. That's why I always say, like, my goal every season is to just get to the playoffs, because anything can happen once you get there. You just got to get there first, and then you worry about the rest. But this was a great game. I remember this game quite well because I thought that this Bulu set was phenomenal. Bringing Grassy Seed, Bulk Up Bulu to deal with things like Bronzong and stuff. That was really, really cool. We brought the Yachi Berry Crowbat to deal with his Weavile. I had a Rocky Helmet Rotom because I knew I needed to just like weaken his Weavile as much as possible. And then I think we ended up finishing things off with Absol here as well, going for Play Roughs. Pretty sure he missed an attack or something with Weavile, or he misgened his Weavile so we were faster. But at that point in the game, because I still had my Yachi Berry Crowbat, it didn't really matter. Here was our match against Patters. This match, what happened in this? Oh, this was where he had his Hawlucha. Entei, I remember this one. Yeah, we were able to kind of, I feel like I had a lot of control in this match from the beginning. I nailed a really good prediction with Bloom Doom on the Seismitoad, if I remember correctly. And then we kind of just went from there. He was never able to get up his Sticky Web, I don't think, or maybe he was, and I just was able to defog it away. Like, I don't really remember exactly what happened there with his, I think I did defog the Sticky Webs away. You know, and then we just had we were able to just beat him. Heatran put in a lot of work, I remember that. And then, you know, he just wasn't able to deal with kind of like all the pieces that I had with what he had. I remember, like, I think Porygon was sitting around at the end and he had to try to beat that with Entei, and I'm pretty sure he brought Choice Scarf Entei and it just wasn't going to do it. Here was our match against Luke, and this is kind of where the season went downhill right here. These 3 weeks, Bristol City against Miami and then against Numb Nexus. This is where we hit a big losing streak, and I'm not sure what caused the losing streak, whether it was just preparation for Ultra Sun and Moon or what happened. These guys are all great battlers, so don't get me wrong, but for me to lose 3 games in a row is kind of surprising. I don't know if I've hit a losing streak like that since GBA, and I don't really know if you can count that because I was pretty checked out that season, but I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that I lost 3 games in a row. They were close games, but nevertheless, still a little disappointed, but they were 2-0 games. I mean, it's not like I got blew out, but still, nevertheless. So this game against Luke, really, I knew I had issues against Lucario. But he brought a great set with his Mew, bringing a like a nasty plot Vacuum Wave Mew. That was just too much for me to handle. So just props to him for that set, because that was a great set. And then it just came down to the end where there was just not much I can do dealing with like Lucario and stuff. I knew I had to spread myself really thin to beat Lucario, and I just couldn't do it. Because like Nihilego couldn't really touch it, Absol couldn't really touch it, Crowbat, I mean, could, but couldn't. I mean, Uxie was supposed to be there to try to help, but it went down early. I'm pretty sure Uxie went down super early, and then his Dredagon was kind of a problem too with his Rocky Helmet and going for like Dragon Tail and stuff, but just good prep on his part. The Mew was really what did me in. And then we played against Kyle A, and this game was super frustrating because we had the game like in the bag, and then Lopunny comes in and just swept us, and it really just came down to me not being prepared enough for Lopunny. Powered Up Punch, Last Resort Lopunny is not a set I would normally expect, but he brought a great set this week, and this is where he got like 5 kills with Lopunny. Like, Absol's like sweeping, and then Lopunny counter sweeps. It was pretty crazy. But in this game, I think it was just a matter of me not being prepared enough for Lopunny. Like, I had a Choice Scarf Rotom, but that's not enough to beat Lopunny because I can't one-shot it. So what I ended up doing is the rematch, I brought Choice Scarf Crowbat, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this game, kind of just one of those things where like I feel like we could have won the game, but I just didn't prepare enough for the Lopunny, and that's really what did us in. Week 11 was against Numb Nexus and the Pichus. This game was pretty frustrating as well because, again, same kind of thing. Like, I felt like I could have won the game, and I felt like we were in a lot of control mid-game. And I made a mistake. I forget what it was, but Garchomp killing Absol with EQ. I think I made a misprediction there, and I just needed to Ice Beam or something, or he was Scarfed. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, he must have been because, yeah, I think that was just a misplay on my part. Like, I should have just Ice Beamed, but I felt like he was going to switch out. So he made some really good reads, too. Like, I had the really good kill on the Jirachi right away. Heatran got rid of Drapion, and I had, like, a pretty good setup there. There was a few instances where, like, I remember this one specific turn where I went for the Gracium Z into the switch, and he switches into Drapion, and had I just Rock Tomb there, I would have been in such a better spot. And like, I brought the Rock Tomb specifically knowing that Drapion would switch into Tapu Bulu, and I didn't make that play, and I was just frustrated at myself for not making that play, because that was what I brought it for in the first place. I knew if I Rock Tomb the Drapion switching in, I would outspeed it, and then I would knock it out with Wood Hammer, and that was a big deal because I lost a ton of health on my Heatran as a result of that. I was able to knock him out, but I lost a ton of health on my Heatran, kind of moving forward there. And then, and I think I actually lost my Air Balloon too. Yeah, and that Air Balloon could have been really good against Garchomp and stuff, so that was a really big play. So then we moved to the playoffs here after a 3-game losing streak. I took on Kyle A, looking for a win in our rematch here, and I was able to get it. Pretty straightforward game. It came down to me just kind of doing some shenanigans to try to weaken his team enough. He brought the same Lopunny, which I was really worried about, but I had the Crowbat. Choice Scarf Crowbat was really nice, and I brought Stunfisk. I did not get a static, though. I did not get a static, which is very frustrating, but Hitmonlee was able to come in and put in a lot of work. I realized that he had nothing to switch into Hitmonlee. Nothing on his team really can take Hitmonlee's attacks. Like, I two-shot everything or one-shot it, so I just had to get Mach Punch set up enough or weaken his Lopunny enough where Mach Punch could clean, and we were able to do that. And then last, but certainly not least, we played Mr. Wolf here in the championship match, and really this match came down to his Swampert just sweeping us. As you can see here, Swampert just put in the absolute work, and a little disappointing because I don't feel like I feel like I could have won this game. I probably should have prepared a little bit more for Swampert. I understand that, but I was so torn because he had such a good team. I didn't know whether he was going to bring Rain or not, and I'm thinking, okay, he's probably not going to bring Rain. He might just bring like Gengar and things like that, and then he brings Rain, and then I just wasn't able to deal with it as much as I should have been able to deal with it. And then two big things I want to point out. He added Girder and Aromatisse to the team over Ditto and Guzzlord, and Girder was a big problem for my team. I had to bring Uxie alone because of Girder. Like, I had to bring it, and that could have been another slot for something like that could have helped me check the the Swampert a little bit better or something. Like, I don't know, but either way, it's no big deal. There was a really, I mean, I could have made some better predictions. Like, I could have went into Bulu on the first power up punch and been able to threaten him out. I could have done something to counter the weather a little bit better. There was a lot of things I could have done, but props to him for picking up the W and ultimately walking away and moving to the championship. So that's really cool there. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of like our team breakdown here. I talked about every single Pokemon. I talked about all the different matches that we had. The championship is obviously going up this weekend. In terms of other things to talk about, like obviously WBE will be doing another season at some point. I don't think it's going to be until summertime though at this point, maybe late spring. I just signed up to do 2 leagues right now, so I'm not going to commit to a 3rd league in the midst of all that, but I will be doing WBE again. I don't know who the coaches are going to be. I would imagine that it's going to be mostly the same, coaches, as long as everyone is pretty cool to do it. I do want to expand the league to 16 teams. I would love to expand the league to 24 teams because I think it's actually more fun when you have more teams and the draft pool gets thinned out, because you end up using different Pokemon, like lower tier stuff and stuff that doesn't get drafted as much. I kind of like that idea, but 24 teams is a lot of people, so I'm not quite sure there. I'd have to open up the doors and really just grab a bunch of people from like NPA and stuff and be like, yo guys, come on. So I don't exactly know what we'll do with that, but definitely 16 teams. I want to go to 16 teams, I'm pretty sure. And there's a couple things too. Like, I know that as the guy who led the league, I didn't do a great job of communicating a lot of the stuff in the league. Like, I didn't update the stats or anything like that. I didn't post, like, I have everything here, and I'm gonna release a lot of this stuff afterwards. Like I said, I have the MVPs here. We have like the schedule here. We have like the tier list and all that stuff. So like all this information we have, and I'm happy to like release it. It's just like, I just didn't like want to manage it all during the season with everything else going on. And during this season, I did have a lot going on. Like, there was some crazy stuff in life that happened too. But I think what we would do for next season, I want to take on a team of like maybe 3 or 4 people to help manage things. That way it's a little easier. So like we have someone who updates the fan doc every week. We have someone who maybe, runs a Twitter or something like that. Like, I would like to be able to communicate more, but I wanted to go baby steps because it's a lot to run a league, and like, the guys in the league were great in helping out and making sure things stayed organized, but it's just a lot for one person to take on, and I wanted to keep it as basic as possible and just focus on the battles and just the fun of it, and I think we accomplished that. So overall, the league was really fun. I think I had a better fun attitude at the beginning and kind of lost it mid-season. I think I Could have had a little bit more fun towards the end of it, but nevertheless, these games, they tend to get a little competitive, and I think it's important to try not to get too focused on that, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much that. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover for our draft breakdown. Get excited for the next league that I'm doing. I'll announce it in the next few days or so, and then NPA is going to be starting up very, very soon. So you guys get basically battle stuff every weekend, both days of the weekend, starting in like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, the first league starts a little sooner, and then I'm actually going to be doing another league called the Multi-Battle League, which is going to be a doubles league. And that's in a few months as well. So lots of battling content. As always, it's been kind of a cornerstone of our channel since I started doing, Pokemon on YouTube. And while there's been times where I've wanted to quit, I really enjoy doing league battles. And I think that we've built two of the most recognizable brand names in terms of competitive Pokemon League battles with the Rampardos and the Vikavolt. And I'm very proud of that. And I thank every single one of you guys who comes out to my videos, hits that like button, supports, subscribes, checks out the merchandise. We have a lot of awesome merch, and it's super cool when I see you guys rocking that merch, especially at events and stuff, and you tweeted it to me and things like that. So if you guys have any ideas or suggestions or ways to improve in terms of the videos themselves, let me know. I actually started recording game audio now. If you didn't notice, like, I've been doing the game music instead. I don't know if you prefer that. I kind of got sick of using the same few songs for the background music, so I was like, oh, let's do the game audio and see how that sounds. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, and thank you so much for watching this recap video. I didn't want to just end the season where it ended with us getting destroyed by a Swampert. I wanted to kind of cover my thoughts on the league. So no championship this time, but it's all good, man. We got 2 in our pocket, and we're ready to rock for 2 more leagues. I'm excited. New Pokemon to draft, new fun stuff, and we'll do it. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Thanks so much for checking out my last video. If you like that one, you'll definitely like this one, and be sure to subscribe for more as I post Pokemon videos every single day.